Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're diving deep into a story from British India in 1897.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is. The Battle of Saragarhi.
Ah, yes. Incredible courage.
Against impossible odds, from what we've been able to gather.
Yeah.
You guys sent us some great material for this one. Excerpts from the Wikipedia article on the battle.
Classic.
And a really fascinating piece from India today.
Oh, cool.
Titled, The Battle of Saragarhi. When 21 Sikhs decided to fight 10,000 Afghans.
Wow.
I mean, that title alone, right?
Hey, that's a pretty good hook.
Sets the stage for an epic story.
Yeah, and Saragarhi, it's more than just a battle story.
Right.
I mean, it gives us a glimpse into so many things.
Okay.
Like the Great Game, the role of the Sikh community in the British Indian Army, and really how powerful individual courage can be.
So imagine this.
Okay.
You're one of only 21 soldiers.
Wow.
Holding a tiny outpost.
Okay.
Against an army of 10,000.
Oh, man.
That's the reality that the Sikh soldiers faced at Saragarhi.
Wow.
So first we need to set the scene a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Where exactly was Saragarhi?
All right, so Saragarhi, it was a small outpost.
Okay.
Essentially a communication relay between two larger forts, Fort Lockhart and Fort Gulistan.
Got it.
And this was in a region back then known as the Northwest Frontier Province of British India, which is now part of Pakistan.
Okay.
And this area, it was a constant point of conflict between the British and Afghan tribes.
So not exactly a peaceful posting.
No, not at all.
The Wikipedia article mentions the Great Game.
Right.
Was that a factor in all this tension?
Absolutely. The Great Game, it was this intense rivalry between Britain and Russia. Throughout the entire 19th century, really.
Wow.
They were both trying to gain control of Central Asia.
Yeah.
And that struggle, it played out on the frontiers of British India.
And the India Today article, it really dives into this.
It does it.
Yeah, it explains how the British adopted this forward policy of pushing their control northward into Afghan territory.
Oh, I see.
So Saragarhi, this seemingly remote outpost, was actually caught in the middle of this geopolitical chess match.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Caught right in the middle.
And the British needed to secure their communication lines.
Of course.
And control the region.
Right.
That's where the 36th Sikh Regiment came in.
Okay, yeah.
They were stationed at Saragarhi and tasked with keeping things, well, stable.
Right. Keep things stable in a very unstable region.
Very unstable region.
Yep.
The 36 Sikhs.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned this wasn't just any regiment.
No, not at all. The 36th Sikh Regiment, it was unique.
Okay.
It was made up entirely of Jat Sikhs who were known for their military skills and their loyalty. And they quickly earned a reputation for bravery.
Okay.
And what happened at Saragarhi? Well, that would really solidify that reputation.
So we're talking about 21 soldiers from this regiment.
Right.
Facing off against an estimated 10,000 to 14,000 Afghan tribesmen.
That's just unbelievable.
Just let those numbers sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
How could 21 men even hope to stand against a force that large?
That's the incredible part.
Yeah.
They didn't just stand, they fought back.
Okay.
With a ferocity that's become legendary.
And thankfully, we have a remarkably detailed account of how the battle unfolded.
We do.
Thanks to Sepoy Gurmukh Singh.
Okay.
The signalman at Saragarhi.
The signalman. Interesting.
So he was using a heliograph.
A heliograph, okay.
To communicate with Fort Lockhart. So imagine like a mirror.
Okay, yeah.
Flashing sunlight to send Morse code messages.
Wow.
That's essentially what a heliograph is.
Oh, that's cool.
He sent real-time updates on the battle as it raged around him.
That's amazing.
His messages are chilling.
Really?
Yeah. In one, he tells Colonel Houghton at Fort Lockhart, enemy approaching the main gate needs reinforcement.
Oh, wow.
And Houghton's reply, because, the Afghans are blocking the way.
Right.
Unable to break through, hold position.
Oh, man. Can you imagine getting that message, knowing what you're up against?
I can't even imagine.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
But it also speaks volumes, I think.
About
the discipline of these soldiers. I mean, they understood their orders. They knew how vital their post was.
Right.
And they chose to fight.
Yeah.
Even when they were facing those impossible odds.
And Gurmukh Singh's own bravery.
Yeah.
It really shines through in these messages.
What do you mean?
Well, he's describing the Afghan attacks.
Okay.
The Sikhs' desperate defense. Even attempts by the Afghans to bribe the Sikhs into surrendering.
Oh, wow.
So this wasn't just a dry account of the battle.
Yeah.
It was a real-time testament to their courage.
That's incredible.
And his final message.
Yeah.
Is particularly poignant.
What did it say?
"Permission to join the battle, sir," he asks Colonel Houghton.
Oh, wow.
And after receiving permission, he packs up his heliograph, grabs his rifle,
wow,
and joins the fight.
Oh, man.
Becomes the last man standing.
That's incredible.
Witnesses claim that he fought with just incredible courage.
Yeah.
Taking down, it said, 40 Afghans before they finally overwhelmed him and set his signaling post on fire.
Wow.
And it's said that as he fought, he repeatedly shouted the Sikh battle cry.
Which is?
Bol so Nihal Sat Sri Akal.
What does that mean?
One will be blessed eternally, who says that God is the ultimate truth.
Oh, wow.
That image, it's just incredible.
It really is. And that cry, that declaration of faith in the face of certain death, it really gets to the heart of what made these 21 Sikh soldiers so extraordinary.
Even knowing they were facing certain death?
Yeah.
Their courage didn't waver.
That's amazing.
Why don't we delve a little deeper into that courage?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the specific tactics that both sides used.
Absolutely. Let's unpack the details of this incredible last stand.
So these 21 Sikh soldiers, they're making their last stand. Facing down thousands of Afghan tribesmen. What kind of weapons did each side have? I mean, was it a completely lopsided fight, technology-wise?
Well, the Sikh soldiers, they were armed with Martini Henry rifles, standard issue for the British Indian Army.
Okay.
These rifles were known for their accuracy, stopping power, could hit targets at a pretty good distance.
It sounds like they had a serious advantage then.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. What about the Afghans? Were they just charging in with, I don't know, swords and outdated muskets?
Actually, the India Today article, it points out something interesting. The Afghans, they had a surprising number of Martini Henry rifles themselves.
Right.
Probably captured in earlier skirmishes, or even acquired, through the arms trade.
Right. This whole region was a bit of a tinderbox, wasn't it?
It was. So even though the Sikhs were technically part of a modern, well-equipped army, the Afghans weren't exactly fighting with sticks and stones.
No kidding. So that kind of evens the playing field a bit, wouldn't you say?
It does, absolutely. The fact that the Afghans had a comparable firepower, well, it meant the Sikh soldiers couldn't rely on a technological edge.
Right.
Saragarhi, it turned into this brutal close-quarters fight.
Yeah.
Where strategy, training, and just sheer grit determined the outcome.
So let's talk tactics.
Okay.
Did the Afghans just charge blindly at the outpost?
Yeah.
Hoping to overwhelm the defenders with sheer numbers?
Well, the sources, they describe the Afghan attack as relentless, but not without a strategy.
Okay.
They used their numbers, obviously, tried to encircle the outpost, kept a constant barrage of fire to pin down the Sikh soldiers.
It's almost like psychological warfare.
It is, yeah.
Knowing you're facing an enemy that outnumbers you, drastically,
yeah,
that's got to be demoralizing.
It had to be. The Afghans probably knew. A direct assault on a well-defended outpost. That would lead to heavy losses.
Yeah.
So their tactics probably focused on keeping the pressure on.
Okay.
Probing for weaknesses.
Right.
Wearing down the defenders' morale.
So how did those Sikh soldiers respond to this relentless attack?
Disciplined firepower. Strategic positioning.
Good.
The Wikipedia article, it highlights how they held their fire. Waited until the enemy was in range.
Right, to inflict maximum casualties.
Exactly, and they took advantage of the outpost's fortified walls,
Sure.
Whatever cover they could find, really.
Yeah.
To protect themselves from that onslaught.
A classic underdog strategy.
It is, yeah.
Make every shot count.
Absolutely, because they knew they were outnumbered, couldn't afford to waste ammunition, or expose themselves unnecessarily.
Right. Every decision, every movement, potentially life or death.
Every single one.
And they inflicted some heavy casualties on the Afghans, right? Even though they ultimately,
They did. Both sources, they emphasized the heavy losses the Afghans suffered. Exact numbers, a little hard to verify.
Yeah.
But it's believed they lost hundreds of men trying to take Saragarhi.
That really speaks to the Sikhs' skill, determination.
Absolutely.
Even against, ridiculous odds.
It does. It really does.
Kind of like the Spartans at Thermopylae, holding off the Persians.
Right. Heroic last stand. buys crucial time for others.
Exactly. And in this case, that sacrifice at Saragarhi gave the British time to reinforce those other forts in the region.
Exactly. Which brings us to the question of, Saragarhi's impact on British military strategy.
Okay.
I mean, the British ultimately won the Tirah campaign, but Saragarhi, it exposed some vulnerabilities.
In their defenses.
Yeah, and it highlighted just how fierce the Afghan resistance was.
So did the British learn any lessons from this?
Well,
Yeah.
the sources don't get into specific tactical changes.
Right.
But it's logical to assume they reassessed their defenses.
After Saragarhi?
Yeah. They probably increased troop deployments at key outposts.
Okay.
Strengthened fortifications, maybe improved communication networks. Who knows?
Maybe even more importantly, they gained a much deeper understanding of their adversary.
Of the Afghans.
Yeah. Their tenacity, determination.
Oh, without a doubt. The Battle of Saragarhi, it was a wake-up call.
In what way?
Showed that even a seemingly insignificant outpost could become this focal point of resistance and underestimating the enemy. Big mistake.
Huge consequences.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about the military side of this.
We have.
But I'm also curious about, the cultural impact, the historical impact.
Especially within the Sikh community.
Yeah, that's where this deep dive gets really fascinating. The Battle of Saragarhi, it's not just some footnote in military history.
Okay.
It's woven into Sikh identity, cultural memory.
Interesting.
It's a story that's been passed down for generations, a powerful symbol of courage, self-sacrifice, unwavering faith.
The India Today article, it mentions a saying, "Sawalak se ekladawan."
Yeah, I've heard that.
Meaning, one will fight against 100,000.
Powerful stuff.
It is. And apparently this saying, it's attributed to Guru Gobind Singh, the 10th Sikh guru.
Okay.
And this is what inspired those soldiers at Saragarhi.
Right. That makes sense. It speaks to the Sikh warrior tradition, this deep-rooted belief in defending one's community.
Even when facing, insurmountable odds.
Exactly. Saragarhi, it really embodies this spirit. It becomes this symbol of Sikh resistance, resilience.
And it's still commemorated every year as Saragarhi Day.
It is. Saragarhi Day, it's more than just remembering a battle. It's a time for Sikhs worldwide to reflect on the courage, the sacrifice of those 21 soldiers, to celebrate their heritage, reaffirm their commitment to the values they represent.
It's amazing how a battle fought over a century ago can still have so much meaning today.
It is, yeah. It speaks to the power of stories. Shared history, remembering those who came before us.
Absolutely. We've established that the battle, it holds profound meaning for Sikhs. But what about its impact on military history as a whole?
Right.
I mean, is it studied in military academies or largely forgotten outside the Sikh community?
That's a great question. Saragarhi is definitely significant in military history.
Okay.
But its recognition, its study, it really depends on the context. Within the British and Indian military traditions, it holds a prominent place.
You mentioned earlier the Indian Army's 4th Battalion of the Sikh Regiment.
Right.
They commemorate the battle every year.
They do.
So it's definitely not forgotten there.
No. The battle, it's often cited as a prime example of bravery, discipline under fire. It's a case study in military training.
Oh, so?
While emphasizing the importance of communication, strong defense, maintaining courage, even when facing those overwhelming odds.
And even outside India and Britain, Saragarhi has found an audience.
It has. The Wikipedia article, it mentions that it's been featured in books, films, documentaries.
Oh, right.
Like, there was that 2019 Bollywood movie, Kesari.
Oh, yeah.
Brought the story to a much larger audience, highlighted the bravery of the Sikh soldiers, and the cultural weight of the battle.
So while it might not be as universally recognized as, say, the Battle of Thermopylae, which often gets compared to Saragarhi, the story of those 21 Sikh soldiers has definitely resonated with people beyond its immediate historical context.
It has, and I think that's the most compelling aspect.
What do you mean?
Its ability to transcend cultural and historical boundaries.
Yeah.
It reminds us of the human capacity for courage, resilience, self-sacrifice, even when we're facing seemingly impossible challenges.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
It has, yeah.
I mean, we've covered so much. The historical context, the battle itself, the strategies involved, its cultural significance, Saragarhi's enduring legacy.
We have, and yet we've only scratched the surface of the human element. I mean, each of those 21 soldiers had a story.
Right.
Families, hopes, dreams that were cut short that day.
Yeah. It's easy to forget when you're looking at the big picture of history that these weren't just figures in an event.
No.
They were real people.
They were.
Who made the ultimate sacrifice.
And it raises some profound questions that I think are worth exploring further.
That sounds like the perfect place to pick up. You mentioned some profound questions stemming from this whole story.
Yeah. I mean, what gets me is what makes certain battles stick with us, you know?
Okay.
Like Saragarhi, Thermopylae, even the Alamo. Why are we so drawn to these stories, these last stands, incredible bravery when you know it can't end well?
Is it just the romanticized idea of heroism? Or is there something more to it?
I think, honestly, it's a lot of things. These battles, they tap into something universal, right?
Okay.
Courage, sacrifice, the struggle against impossible odds. I think they remind us what humans are capable of. Resilience, strength of spirit.
Yeah, there's an element of awe, too. Knowing these individuals, they chose death rather than betray their duty, their comrades. Makes you wonder what we do.
Right. It's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
What are our values?
Yeah.
What would we fight for? Would we have that kind of courage? I mean, it makes you think about your own mortality, too.
And these stories, they cross cultural and historical lines, like Saragarhi happened way back when, specific time and place. But the themes, courage, sacrifice, that resonates with everybody.
It does. It speaks to the universality, I guess you could say, of certain human experiences, ancient Greece, 19th century India, even a modern conflict, right? These stories, these acts of defiance, they just capture our imagination.
So connecting this to today, why should we, in the 21st century, care about a battle that happened over 100 years ago?
Because these stories, they offer valuable lessons, timeless lessons, courage, integrity, resilience, facing adversity. These things matter. It doesn't matter what era you're in.
Right.
In Saragarhi, it teaches us about unity, loyalty, those powerful bonds that can form between people in the toughest circumstances.
And it's a reminder, a stark reminder, of the human cost of conflict. The 21 Sikh soldiers, they weren't just names on a list. Sons, brothers, husbands, their loss was felt by families, by communities.
Yeah. It's a good reminder. Behind every historical event, there are real human stories, real lives affected, real sacrifices made.
Yeah. Where do we go from here? Say someone's listening to this and they want to learn more about Saragarhi or other stories like it. What would you say to them?
Dive deeper, read accounts from the people who were actually there, explore the impact, how it's remembered. There's so much to uncover. Historical texts, documentaries, films, even online, there's tons of stuff.
Don't just focus on the military details. Try to understand the context, the motivations, the human stories. Those are the important parts. That's where you really learn something.
Exactly. History, it's not just about dates and battles. It's about people, their choices, and how those choices echo through time. The Battle of Saragarhi. Just one small piece in this giant tapestry, but it offers a fascinating glimpse into a pivotal moment and themes that are still relevant today.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Battle of Saragarhi. This has been a truly enlightening conversation.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to all of our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring this story. It's a remarkable one. You might be surprised what you discover about history, about courage, and about yourselves. Until next time, keep diving deep.